What's going on, guys? This is Drop It Like It's Scott, and you are in the Mobile Command Center today because we are on a journey, and I'm taking you with me. We are going to talk to an individual who is a firearms manufacturer, and he is fantastic. I've seen some of his guns. I'm sure you guys have seen some of his guns on people like Military Arms Channel, Coleon Noir, The Honest Outlaw, but this individual just happens to be within about 45 minutes from my location, and I'm on a journey to that location today, and it is Tommy Built Tactical. So we're gonna go talk to Tommy, and we're gonna ask him some questions, pick his brain, see some of his amazing tactical firearms and all the things that he is creating. So I'm gonna take you along for the ride, and let me know in the comments section below what you guys think. And if you're new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. I am literally trying to grow this channel as big as possible and as fast as possible, and I can't do that without your help. So if you like the content, if you like what I do, please consider hitting the subscribe. I really appreciate it. So I'm gonna go ahead and drive the journey and save you guys the time. We are on our way to Tommy Built Tactical. Here we go.
Now a word from our sponsors.
All right, guys, this is Drop It Like It's Scott, and today, like I mentioned in the beginning of this, we have a special treat for you. We are at Tommy Built Tactical, and this is Tom, and he has been gracious enough to allow you and me to tour his shop and get some information from him and talk to him about his builds, his creations, and everything that he does to make his weapons spot on. So, I do have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Just kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit. I know you make a lot of fantastic guns. I just recently watched, I think it was the TG36 on Coleon Noir's channel, and he was raving about it.
Yeah, he loves that thing for sure.
And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, that thing is fantastic. So can you tell a little bit about that particular one and what makes that one?
You know, it's our US made version of the G36 military platform. There has never really been a version of that, you know, for civilian sales here in the United States.
Right.
The Germans pretty much, they still use that currently, the German military does, and it's also widely used by law enforcement all over the world. It's a 5.56 platform. They make a few different variants of it. The C is probably the most prominent that everybody sees, which is the 9-inch short one, which in our market everybody wants. The K is my personal favorite. It's a 12.5-inch, and that one to me is probably a little more useful than the C. 9-inch 5.56 is loud. So 12.5 is nice because it's a good balance in between. You can still reach out a little further, and you know it's not super heavy. It's still compact. And then the E model, which is their pretty much 19-inch long battle rifle, which is kind of the original G36, if you will, and then they changed it to the E model once they started coming out with other variants. So that one has a following for people who want to try to get that 20-year-old, you know, original cool-looking version, but the 19-inch battle rifle was not something PD's really bought here. You know, they're not swinging that around out of a out of a police car. So, but since HK has discontinued the sales of that here in the United States, you know, even to PDs, so you know, we've kind of went from doing our conversions on the old SL8 to now taking that to making our complete US made version here of all three models. Most of the time we do like a 16.5-inch, which they didn't really make. Obviously for our market you need a 16.5-inch with the stock folded to get your 26 mark there. So we make one that's kind of an in-between that wasn't really a model they ever made, but it kind of gives you the the K gas system, so you have the shorter handguard, or you can use the longer handguard, but it doesn't give you quite the 19-inch long barrel.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but we do make a lot of accessories for them, different handguards, top rails, you know, an air fire control lower version, so you can put your Geisley trigger in it and things like that. Different magwells, so you can use like an air magwell on them.
Okay.
So it's kind of, I can't say Americanized, but just so, you know, kind of expanded on that, so you
Right.
can do other things, and it's just not the original, you know, setup, and you're kind of stuck with that. So this lets you do a few other things.
Yeah.
We are a niche product company. We don't sell tons of these. We do small batches.
Right.
And you know, they do well. They're super popular. Of course, popular with all the gamer kids that grew up playing with them, and now they're old enough to purchase one, so they
Right.
want one.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's a cool piston platform. I mean, super smooth to shoot.
Yeah.
And they're just fun, you know. They really are. We do our own 300 blackout version. We don't sell tons of the 300. It's kind of a, you know, again, it wasn't something the Germans made for this platform.
Right.
So we do have a mix of guys that want like their dream version of what they played in the video game, or what they saw in a movie, or whatever it is. So so we do the standard versions, and then we do make our own, you know, some other oddball, like a carry handle top rail that you can put like a new school optic on.
Okay.
Things like that kind of modernize it a little bit. I mean, this was designed, should I say, in the early to mid 90s.
Yep.
So you're talking about 20-plus-year-old design. And so had they moved forward and continued, and even, I say in the last 10 years, I mean, they started moving to like aluminum handguards and aluminum top rails. I mean, as optics changed and lighting changes and lasers, you know, silencers, all these things became more, you know, commonplace on the battlefield. They kind of added, you know, to the platform since then. So, you know, the original, you know, top rails were just a standard polymer top rail with front and rear sights. And then as things change, people want to put on, you know, say an EOTech with a magnifier. Well, now you need a little bit more real estate.
Right.
Those old school backup sights are not tall enough to co-witness with anything. So, you know, we make a nice low profile aluminum top rail that's longer, so you can put more stuff on that. You know, one of the nice things is, like I said, we have expanded, you know, our braces and top rails and handguards and other things, so that you can expand this platform into other things. Okay. But that's kind of a little overview of the you know, the TG36.
Yeah.
You know, we're hoping to expand a few other options, a PDW stock, a couple other cool things we're trying to get out by the end of the year. So
Nice.
Should be pretty cool.
Yeah. So what got you started in this? What avenues did you take in order to get?
I mean, on the G36, really, it was I bought an SL8, and I didn't even, you know, really know that the G36 existed back then, and wasn't really excited about it. The super long bull barrel. I mean, it looked cool as a space gun with the big thumb hole stock, but it just really didn't do much for me.
Right.
And then once I saw a picture of a G36. I mean, we're talking, you know, 2005. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet was just a baby, so you didn't see a whole lot of,
Right.
you know, not a whole lot of PDs here had really even done much with them, so we didn't really see a lot of them. Saw a couple movies here and there may have popped up, but nobody knew what they were.
Right.
My background is automotive, and I did a lot of, you know, customizing of all kinds of everything you can imagine in that world. So I just was like, well, I can just cut this up and just, you know, do this and this and put the hinge on and move it forward and kind of get the actual dimensions and then make it really identically, other than the full auto features, to a G36. And it took me a little while to figure it out, and I had to find some demilled parts, and then I, you know, finally, you know, I kept kind of inching along. Well, I'll cut this first and do that and see what that works. And then finally I went full on and made the rear section, and, you know, made it into an identical on the outside, you know, G36. And from there, I never went back to any of the adapters or bolt-on stuff, because it's just not right on the platform.
Right. Gotcha.
And so that's kind of where it started. And then as soon as I had posted pictures, I remember as I was building it, I was on HK Pro a lot back then, and I posted a picture of it, and it went nuts. I think we had back then it was like 10,000 views in 2 days, and that was just, I think the most thing that had any sort of views like that was maybe at like 2,000 views or something. So it just really locked the site up for a couple of days there. I mean, it was something that had never been done, and that really kind of turned into a job. I just went it for myself.
Yeah.
So we kind of play around, and finally it was like you Google G36 and my name was the first name on the first 2 pages, you know. So it's like maybe I should take a crack at this and you know, get my own license and see what happens. And so I went ahead and did, and immediately it just blew up into, you know, everybody wanting one done, and then I just kind of kept going, and then SL8s disappeared. Yeah. You know, they stopped bringing them in because there was not really it's an expensive rifle for what it was, even for what it is now. It that market just kind of went downhill. So. And so I just, as I started kind of making parts and getting kits and doing other things, it just kind of escalated into, well, we could probably make the whole gun, I guess. And then it just, here we are.
Turned into a fantastic opportunity for you.
Yeah, no, it did. It did. And I, like I said, I just kind of fell into that. I never woke up one day and said, well, I just want to make the whole gun and copy it. It was just kind of like well, I wanted one, and then everybody else wanted one, and then they looked at me, well, you're already making it, so continue making it. And then so it just became, well, I guess I could. Let's try it. And so here we are.
Yeah.
And we're doing our TMPs now, which is a UMP clone, and that one kind of the same way. There's a couple guys making some parts, and then I kind of got into doing that one. And we do tons of USC to UMP conversions still. That one's not as far off as the G36, so we still do those, but the parts are a struggle to get. So they're not always on the shelf, and we make a correct version of that as well. And we've been kind of just making pieces, parts here and there on that for the last 2 years, and then this year we're really starting to do actual production complete projects between 9 mil and 45 mostly. And we've done some 10 mil, some 357, some 40 cal, so some rifle versions. So we'll continue that and see where that goes.
Cool.
Yeah,
and I noticed on the G36, is the magazine proprietary to that particular one, or can that be switched out to whole?
So it is a G36 German mags, or Magpul makes a G36 PMag specific. So the German mags are kind of big and bulky. I mean, certainly they work fine. They're just a little harder to manipulate. They have the little catches on the side so you can lock them into each other. They don't really fit in normal mag pouches. And again, they're just boxy and a little harder to manipulate. The design is really cool, and of course back then way ahead of its time. But most guys that are buying these, unless they're just HK fanatics, also own ARs. They also own a plethora of other platforms, and so everybody's used to an AR mag. And so when you start trying to manipulate a big giant blocky mag that doesn't fit in a lot of hands well, it doesn't fit in mag pouches, the go-to has been, well, what else can we do? So PMag has made this G36 version, and really there's a lot of militaries and police that prefer that one over the big bulky German mag. And I think if they did any updates or relaunches or anything like that to G36, I think we would see also an update of the mag from them. We do make an AR mag well. They're becoming more popular. Generally speaking, because this is such a niche product, everybody wants it to look like what it looks like in the movie that they loved, or video game or whatever it is. So having a random GI mag hanging out of the bottom of it is not necessarily as cool as what they would like to look. So a lot of guys will buy the German mag and put that in for their cool Instagram pictures, and then they'll run the PMags in them. But we are seeing more and more guys that are like, well, if I'm going out and I'm taking 5 guns with me, it's nice just to bring one pile of AR mags and not have to switch mags up. So we are seeing a lot more people that want to buy the AR mag wells and swap them on. And they are just simply, you pull out the pin, you pull out the old mag release, pop it on, pop your pin back in, and now you can use AR mags. The only drawback with the AR mags, I will say, is that there's a million different AR mags. So there are lots of different followers, there are lots of different designs, some tilt more than others, and so your last round bolt hold open may not be consistent with every AR mag you got, because you got a lot of different followers, a lot of different brands. Mags sit in there slightly differently depending on the mag body, etc. So and that is that last round bolt hold open is controlled by the follower. So whether or not that's getting a good contact or too much contact could cause a jam. Not enough contact, again, could cause a jam because it gets stuck behind the follower. So most modern stuff, most modern PMags work, but if you're, old GI mags, not really a good match. And you'll find some other cheaper mags, again, not really a good match. But that's going to be the nature of trying to put a different mag in a platform that it wasn't designed for. So I do tell people, if you want consistency and you want what it was designed for, use the the PMags or the German mag.
And triggers. Is there a particular weight that you're trying to stick with?
There is no upgrade on a trigger at this point.
Okay.
The SLA, the UMP, the USC, the G36, they all share the same trigger, sear, for the most part hammer, and a few other components in there that are the few other things. They vary a little bit, and so there are quite a few things that share, but then there's things that don't, and so nobody's jumped into making anything for it. So it's kind of one of those where, you know, eventually we'll see somebody that does it. And I know the force reset thing, his ship has sailed, but they do not work in this. It's not, it's, you know, it's a different carrier setup completely. So I do get asked, oh, does this work or does that work? And no, it's a, you know.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Can I get some video of the
man, honestly, like unfortunately we don't have a lot of inventory because most of the time we do small batches. The stuff sells right out, and
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I can't complain, man. Currently I don't have a I think we might have one demo gun that's in stock right now on our TG36. Everything else is gone and out the door. We have a couple TMPs in. We just did an FDE run, so certainly I can show you a couple of those and you can take a look at them. But we definitely have to get together and do a range day and bring few of the models out, and you can play with them and, you know, share your experience on what you think.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Okay, all right, cool.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate your time. Awesome, thank you.
All right, cool.
So that was the coolest interview, or one of the coolest interviews that I have had so far, and it was with Tommy Built Tactical. And I have to say that I was super impressed on, one, their ability to make and create some of the most fantastic guns that you could possibly get, and just the sheer fact that he took time out of his day to hang out with me, drop it like it's Scott, and to bring some information to you guys. So I'm super thankful, super grateful. You guys definitely need to check out Tommy Built Tactical, and if you've got the extra cash floating around to pick up one of their builds, you got to do it, because it's in my list of gotta haves. So thanks for watching Drop It Like It's Scott. Your word of encouragement today is this: worrying weighs a person down, but an encouraging word cheers a person up. Proverbs 12, verse 25.